Our hurricane season, obviously very topical now that we're in the, we'll say the middle of July. It is July 10th. And we just had Hurricane Beryl that hit, off the coast of Texas a couple days ago, and then went through the Caribbean as well. So let's start with trivia. We'll have everyone shout out for this. So remember the earthquake we had a couple of months ago? So that was on April 5th. We felt it here, at least a little rumbling in LBI. Were you guys here for the earthquake?
No.
You were not? You guys were home?
Yes.
All right. Where's home?
Northern New Jersey.
Okay. Same for you?
Guam.
Guam?
Yeah.
The island of Guam?
We get earthquakes all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, what are you doing here?
We spend summers here with my dad.
All right, I'm going to talk to you afterwards because
Okay.
I'm very curious about Guam. Anyway, so we had an earthquake here on April 5th in New Jersey. Does anyone want to guess when that was our strongest earthquake since? The one that's centered in New Jersey.
I thought it was 1884.
Okay. What do you think?
I'm gonna say
2011. Okay, let's take a look. Turns out it's actually the one on the left. 1783. That was the last time we had a magnitude, at least a 4.8 magnitude earthquake. Now, to your point, in 2011, we did have an earthquake here, but it was centered in Virginia. And it was stronger than 4.8. I think it was a 5.5. But one that was centered in New Jersey, you have to go back, I think it was like 6 weeks after the Revolutionary War ended. That's what it was. So here was that earthquake, though, on April the 5th. It was centered in Tewksbury, New Jersey, which is in Hunterdon County, I believe. Everywhere in orange, that's where you definitely felt it. If you were in yellow, that's where it could have been felt. So it went as far north as about Montreal, Canada, a little bit further north, down to Washington, D.C., to about Ocean City, Maryland. So that's our trivia to start off. So my name is Joe Martucci. I'm a meteorologist. I currently, to be honest with you, a little bit in flux. I did work at the Press of Atlantic City until June 3rd of this year. There was a reorganization and just wasn't a part of their plans anymore. So that being said, I'm still doing plenty of work. I think I'm busier now than I've ever been. I work for the News 12 networks in New Jersey as a freelancer. I have a couple of clients I work with in terms of social media marketing through weather, and also write for Shore Local magazine, which is down towards Atlantic City. I was born and raised in New Jersey, but like probably most people who are here in LBI, I'm not from Long Beach Island or from the Jersey Shore originally. I'm from Union, New Jersey, about, 70 exits north on the Parkway, exit 139, and now we're here. I want to say this too. I have earned the Certified Digital Meteorologist seal and Certified Broadcast Meteorologist seal, and I'm sorry, I got those those seals, by the American Meteorological Society. It's something I'm very proud of and always like to talk about. There's not many people even in the meteorologist world who have these seals because they're peer-reviewed. It involves a test that you take and also written or video samples of your work, video for the Certified Broadcast Meteorologist seal. There's only about 1,100 nationally with the Certified Broadcast Meteorologist seal, and the Certified Digital Meteorologist seal. Actually, I was able to earn the first one just last year when it started due to the work that I was doing in digital and in social media in terms of conveying weather information, not only accurately, but in a way that everybody could understand. There's a lot of smart people out there who may not have the best communication skills. On the other hand, there's a lot of people who can communicate great but don't know what they're talking about. You see that online a lot. But this is really the best of both worlds. Now, I say all this to say that you don't have to follow me, although you're more than welcome to. But you want to know and trust that your source is reputable. And anybody with one of these two seals, and you'll see them if you're watching television, they'll have this seal up on television. If you see it, if you're on social media looking for meteorologists, to follow, you're going to look for someone with that certified digital meteorologist, either that seal there, or they'll write, I'm a CDM or a CBM. But those are the people that you do want to follow. And like I said, I have both of them. If you want to follow me, you can follow me here. I do post in some of the LBI groups. I think you were saying Holgate update. I shared this event in there last night. But you can follow me just about everywhere, including TikTok. But I don't know how long it's going to be lasted for. It might go away soon. But for now, I'm on TikTok and all the other platforms, and there's my website down there. So planning with the weather. Now, being here at the Jersey Shore, right, we're talking about boating, fishing, and the beach. And all three of these things you can use to, or all three of these things you can, really just look around you to figure out what the weather is going to be like here. So let's start off with this. Has anyone seen this before? This taco chart? Okay, so this is watch versus warn. Kyle probably has. Hey, Kyle. So watches and warnings, because a lot of times even I feel like when I talk with people, sometimes we get a little confused. What's a tornado watch and what does a tornado warning mean? So this is, let's use tacos to explain it. So tacos means all the ingredients are there, right? We have all the pieces together, and then once we put it together, you got your taco warning. Right now we're having it. So let's talk about a severe thunderstorm watch. That's something we could see here in LVI. So a severe thunderstorm watch means that the ingredients are there. It's probably some kind of hot, humid day and a cold front's coming through. The potential is there for a severe thunderstorm, but there's nothing yet. If there's a severe thunderstorm coming for Long Beach Island, then you're in that severe thunderstorm warning. So same thing with the tacos. You carry it over to weather, and you can figure out what's going on. We also have advisories as well. Now, there's no severe thunderstorm advisory, but there's things like dense fog advisory. We had one yesterday here in Long Beach Island. We have also winter weather advisories. It's a significant inconvenience. I forgot my little mini taco image, but if there was a little mini taco, that would have been an advisory, just to continue the taco analogy here. So boating and fishing, I think if you do have a boat or you're on the boat, you're probably familiar with these, but I just wanted to go over this because the National Weather Service, our National Weather Service office is in Mount Holly. They will talk about this. So small craft advisory may be a problem. Remember, it's an advisory. It's not a big deal, but it is an inconvenience. Then we have a gale watch and warning. Gale watch means, hey, the ingredients are there for really strong winds. When it's happening or it's imminent, you're in the warning here. And then a storm watch and warning. So as we go from left to right on your screen, those winds are getting stronger here. Now, once you get above a storm watch and warning, you're getting into hurricane warnings at that point. Or it could be hurricane force winds. It doesn't necessarily have to be from a hurricane, although more than likely it's going to be if you're over 64 knots here. Boating, we have buoys up and down the East Coast and all across the United States, including Guam. We do have buoys there. They usually measure some combination of this. So pressure, air temperature, water temperature, winds, and more. Things that if you're a mariner, you're going to need to know. This is, I had this from an old slide, so I apologize for the Avalon. But anywhere where you're seeing those yellows is where we have buoy data. So we have one just off the coast of Barnegat Light. I think it's 20 nautical miles east of Barnegat Light, if I'm correct. But we also have a couple up and down the South Jersey Shore. And we have another one over near Sandy Hook at the northern part of the shore as well. But all of these are active, and they do measure, some kind of combination of data here, whether it's pressure, air temperature, water temperature, winds, and more. And here are the names of them. Station 44091, that's the name of the buoy that's just off of Barnegat Light by a couple of miles here. I wish there was one that was like sitting in the Barnegat Bay. There just isn't. But these are official NOAA buoys that are out. This one is Red Sky at Night Sailor's Delight real? Because sometimes I get this question. And the answer is yes, with an asterisk, and you kind of see what I wrote here. Weather generally in the mid-latitudes. Mid-latitudes are about 30 degrees north latitude to 60 degrees north latitude. We are at 39.5 degrees north latitude. Weather generally moves from west to east. So sun rises in the east, sets in the west. If you're seeing that red sky at night, usually the sun in the west is lighting up the clouds to the east, and those clouds to the east are generally moving further to the east, meaning that the weather is usually clearing out. So typically yes, this is true. Of course, sometimes we get nor'easters that move from south to north. This won't always be true, but generally, especially during the summertime, a lot of time our weather's moving west to east. This would be true. Same thing on the other end. What about red sky at morning for here? So weather generally travels west to east again. If the sun's setting in the east. No, sun's rising in the east. It's lighting up approaching clouds. So if the sun's rising in the east, it's illuminating those clouds to the west, and as a result, you're seeing the incoming clouds here too. Sometimes what you might see as well is kind of before a storm is a thin blanket of high clouds overhead. We call those cirrus clouds. That's usually indicative of a storm coming our way, a more organized storm system, a coastal storm or a nor'easter, could be a tropical system as well, that's coming our way. Here is another shot I took of Holgate. I think I just took my drone up here and pointed it that way last year when I was here. The beach, a lot of things we can do to just be safe when we're in the water or going out for a day at the beach. Here, I have a video that I'm going to play. This is from NOAA's Wave Safe program. Bruckner Chase, who is actually lives in Summers Point, New Jersey, in Atlantic County. He is the national ambassador for the Wave Safe program, and he is promoting, of course, beach safety, but how to empower yourself when you're going out in the water or you're going to the beach. And I'll play this video in a second, but what was really, when I've had conversations with him, the one thing he says, and I kind of laugh, but he is right, like he really wants you to take 10 minutes before you go in the water to fully be aware of your surroundings, because even in 30 seconds, you're not going to pick up that little rip current that might be out in the water, or you might not see that, hey, the sand might give out here in a certain spot. We've seen those stories before of, a kid usually falling through the sand and getting trapped or something along those lines. So he really stresses to give yourself some time before you start playing out, whether it's in the water or in the sand here. And he's done videos actually everywhere from here on the East Coast to the West Coast to American Samoa as well. So I'm going to play one video he has here. Oh, you know what? Is the sound on the remote? This is a clicker. No, that's all right. This is a clicker I brought. Oh, here. Good? No? Oh, there we go.
By the power of the waves. In need to thigh-deep water, turn your hips and shoulders sideways to keep your balance as you slice through the force of the waves with one foot planted behind you to brace against the wave. In water above your waist, the safest place is under and not over the white water of breaking waves. Face the oncoming wave and duck, don't dive, putting your head down and fingers in the sand below. If you are paddling, swimming, or walking back to the beach, never completely turn your back on the waves. Use the same method you used to get into the water as you return to the beach. You aren't safe until your feet are on dry sand.
To have fun and stay safe, always respect the power of the ocean and be wave safe.
So Bruckner actually does a number of those kind of videos, and he does regionalize it for different parts of the United States and our territories, but also just general videos about beach and even bay safety as well. Bruckner also, I should have said this in the beginning when I was talking about him, he actually holds the world record for the longest swim without a wetsuit in Alaska. I don't know how long I'd be in that, but I'm glad he did it and not me. Anyway. So, how to spot a good beach day? Well, this is going to be a little subjective, but I think these are the 4 ingredients to spot a good beach day. A dew point under 60. A dew point is a measure of moisture in the air. When you have drier air, if your dew points are in the 50s or 40s, it's usually too dry for those pop-up kind of thunderstorms that we see during the summertime months. Today, our dew point is probably 74, 75. It's humid, we know that. It was humid yesterday, it's been humid for days. That being said, I do think we're gonna be dry today, but if you're under 60, I mean, you're definitely dry at that point. Early rain isn't the worst thing in the world either. If you get some rain through about 9 o'clock or so, what that can do sometimes is actually stabilize the atmosphere so that any storms that try to come from the west later in the day just don't make itself here. This is especially true on potential severe weather days. We've seen, forecasts 24 to 48 hours before predicting severe weather here during the afternoon and evening hours, but then overnight or early in the morning we get rain or thunderstorms, and it kind of takes the legs out from underneath of any developing storms that want to try to make its way here. We restabilize the atmosphere. So of course you don't want rain, you know, at any point when you're here in Long Beach Island, but early rain is actually not the worst thing in the world. Bugs are always a big deal. I get this question all the time. When do we not get the bugs? Usually it's going to be a north or a light wind will definitely kick away those bugs. Not only that, a north or a light wind usually is bringing in some drier air. You know, winds from the north coming from Canada, pulling in some drier air. The bugs are worst generally on a west wind here. Depending on where you are at the shore, it could be a southwest wind too. But here we'll say a west wind. And then a nice mix of sun and clouds. You know, you don't want to be frying in the sun all day long, so some clouds are good every once in a while. I actually do a, I think I have it in the next slide here, a Shore Summer Weekend Weather Report Card. I've been doing it for 7 summers here at the Jersey Shore. It started when I was at the Press of Atlantic City in 2017, well, the summer of 18, where I pretty much just grade every summer weekend up and down the shore based on a variety of different factors. Usually you get an A. You want, again, a little subjective, but I think high temperatures between 75 to 85 degrees, no rain, of course, a light breeze, a mix of sun and clouds, could be sunny too maybe, and lower humidity. So I'm grading Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because, hey, you're here on the island. Friday counts as the weekend, right? So this is what we have so far this year. Oh, here we go. I was going to say, where did the other ones go? This is, we're at a 3.3 GPA so far this year. So pretty good student so far this summer. You can see summer's passed and how we shaped up. What I do too is at the end of the summer, I'll go to Ocean City High School. Ocean City High School in Ocean City, New Jersey, of course, is the second closest high school to the beach in the United States. There's like one in California that I think like literally is on the boardwalk or something. I'm not sure. But Ocean City High School is pretty much on the beach block there. And I do a fun wrap-up report card there. So, you know, 3.3, pretty good. It's hard to get perfection all the time, but we're on pretty good pace. And you can follow me on social media. I post that new update every Monday after the weekend is over. And also rip currents. Unfortunately, since 2000, there's been 53 rip current deaths at the Jersey Shore right here. So you're averaging about 2 per year, unfortunately. What causes rip currents? I have the ingredients here that causes rip currents, winds perpendicular to the land. Perpendicular means different things depending on where you are at the Jersey Shore. Long Beach Island, we're more north-northeast to south-southwest orientated. So, you know, that southeast wind is going to be perpendicular to the land. You go up to Island Beach State Park, Seaside Heights, and really anywhere north, Monmouth County, it's an east wind. And what's interesting, you know, Atlantic City and Absecon Island, at some points, it actually runs more east to west than anything else. So a south wind could do it, but at the very least, a southeast wind would do it as well here. If we're caught in a rip current, and I have to say, yesterday I did a talk in Ocean City with a kids camp, and I was really impressed because they all knew what to do in a rip current and how to be safe. So that was actually wonderful. I'm glad I didn't have to explain it over to them. They actually knew what to do. But you want to let the rip current really take you out. You're not going to be able to fight that rip current. Call for help as you're getting pulled by the rip current, and then swim parallel to the shoreline as you're continuing to call for help. You don't want to tire yourself out too quickly by trying to fight that rip current immediately. Now, rip currents don't always come from the sand out into sea. Sometimes you just have a strong current that's pulling you from, you know, north to south, right? I think we've all kind of been there. You see the lifeguard in front of you to the center. 5 minutes later, it's like, wait, lifeguard's over there. What happened? You know, you don't know sometimes. So, like we said here, don't fight the rip current. Call for help, and you want to make sure you're swimming parallel to the shore. This is what a rip current looks like from above. If you were to take a drone footage of it here, and you see it's, you know, you're going to want to go out. You don't want to do anything in that red area. You just kind of let it take you out, and then once you get beyond the rip current, then you start swimming out parallel, a little bit back towards the shore, and call for help. Here's a couple of statements and advisories and warnings the National Weather Service can put out for beach safety hazards. Weather.gov If you go to weather.gov/PHI, that is the one for our region. But even if you go to weather.gov, you can click on the map and it'll take you here. They have a full beach report. You can see rip current risk, wave heights, swell period, swell direction, etc. And they're using that forecast to put out these advisories if we need to. I think I have some of this on our helpful links. Yeah, weather.gov/PHI/marine. They actually just updated this website. They got a whole bunch of stuff here. Anything from coastal waters forecast to water forecasts further out if you're going out to the canyons, way out to the east. A discussion, current observations, sea surface temperatures. The list goes on and on. They actually did a really nice job with this. It's a one-stop shop. Hurricanes.gov. That's going to transition us into the second part of this of our presentation. Hurricanes.gov. There is a little more activity in this. This is an old image, but the point is, any of your hurricane information is there. And the Stevens Flood Advisory System. Stevens Institute is a college in Hoboken, New Jersey. And they actually have a whole flood advisory system where you can select your stations. There's a number of stations up and down the Jersey Shore, including here in Long Beach Island. You can select your dates and the type of forecast. There's different forecast models out there, and you can see what the tidal flooding levels are or if we're going to flood. And actually what's really cool about this too is you can go back in time. You can go back for months at a time if you want and see, hey, when did we have a tide that was as high as this morning or something like that. You can figure that out there. At the bottom shows you your storm surge, which is water above typically dry ground. And that leads me into my second trivia question here. This is about hurricanes, of course. When was New Jersey's last landfalling hurricane? You guys want to give it a guess? Am I tricking you? I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
1985.
You're going to say 1985? What do you think? 2012. Okay. Kyle, what do you think?
1903.
All right, we'll see. Kyle's right. 1903. So yes, I did. That was a trick. Yes. So why isn't it? Let's go back here. Why isn't it 2012? Well, Sandy, of course, made landfall near Brigantine on October 29th, 2012. However, technically it was a post-tropical cyclone at landfall. In other words, it didn't have a warm core to it. Hurricanes and tropical systems have a warm core to it. It was becoming what we call extratropical. A nor'easter, for example, is a extratropical, well, it's not even extratropical, it's a cold core storm. Sandy was transitioning from a warm core storm to a cold core storm at the time of landfall. So technically, it wasn't a hurricane. 1985, that was Gloria. That did not make landfall here, but it did bring a lot of impacts. But it's 1903. That was the last time a hurricane actually made landfall in New Jersey. It's called the Vagabond Storm, made landfall right near Atlantic City, and it was during the middle of September back in 1903. In other words, we are probably due for a hurricane to hit here in New Jersey. Now, hopefully it doesn't happen. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but it has been 121 years since we've had a landfalling hurricane in New Jersey. So, that being said, 2 months ago, me along with my former colleague, Sean Sublett, we did a What to Expect for 2024 Hurricane Season video. We had a series called Hurricane Hunt, where we did longer form tropical update videos for the East Coast and the Gulf Coast. Ended up being at Lee Enterprises, where I used to work. We have about 11 video series throughout the year. This was constantly neither one or two for most viewed throughout our corporate company. It's now on my YouTube channel. If you want to hit the QR code, you can see it there. This forecast is from Colorado State University. Now, why is a doubly landlocked state making hurricane forecast? And why am I using it, right? We're here in New Jersey. Well, turns out that Colorado State has been making hurricane forecasts for 41 years. Dr. Bill Gray came to Colorado State. Like a lot of things in life, he followed the money. The money was in Colorado State to allow him to pursue this, and they've been doing this for a very long time. This was their initial forecast in April 2024. 23 named storms, that's tropical storms or hurricanes, 11 of them becoming hurricanes, and 5 of them major hurricanes, which are category 3, 4, or 5 storms, well above the average, which is all the way on the right. Now, since then, and actually just 2 days ago, they updated this forecast, and now are predicting what they call, quote, a hyperactive season. That's not a scare tactic. That is a word that they will use when hurricane seasons are very active. So now it's 25 named storms, I believe 12 hurricanes, and maybe 6 major hurricanes throughout the time period. So it's a little bit higher than this. But now you're talking about, could this be maybe the second most active hurricane season on record? Most active one was in 2020 when we had 30 named storms. In the Atlantic Ocean, we ran out of hurricane names. I'll talk about that in a second. But that's the kind of season we're looking for. It's the stormiest prediction they've put out in their 41 years. And the National Hurricane Center did the same. Both of them predicting in terms of the number that they're predicting, not the actual number of storms that happened, but the predictions are the highest that they've had in their histories of producing hurricane outlooks here. So that being said, Colorado State University actually breaks down the risk by county across not just New Jersey, but up and down the East Coast and into the Gulf of Mexico. So here are our risks of being either hit with a tropical system or within 50 miles of the coast. And in Ocean County, it's a 29% risk. So it's higher than average, right, by about 11 percentage points. It's actually really about 75%, I think, above the average. But remember, this is still only a 28% or 29% risk. More than likely, we're not going to get it. But if there's a year for something, this is a pretty good year for it relative to where we are. Now, just to kind of put this in perspective a little bit, Florida's percentage of being hit with a tropical system is 96% this year, which is, it's going to happen at some point. So that's for the tropical system. I might have another graphic here. Nope. I'll just go back real quick. They also broke down the risk of a hurricane actually being within 50 miles here. That percentage is 11% for us here in Ocean County. Typically, the average is 8%. So it's higher, but it's still roughly a 1 in 10 chance we're going to get that. Hopefully it doesn't, but if there was a year, this could be the year for it. Here's a look at our hurricane climatology. And I said this earlier when I first did these hurricane talks in the spring. Don't be surprised if it's late July and we're only still up to our C-letter hurricane right now, or C-letter storm. Most of the activity happens after August 1st. So 90% of it does. This is where we are right now today. You don't see that big spike up until we get to August 1st. And really that core of hurricane season is from the middle of August until the middle of October here. So most of the activity is going to come within that 2-month period. So right now, we're kind of on track. I mean, we're still ahead of, we're still a little more active than where we should be, but we've only had 3 storms. So again, it's not like we should be at Nadine or Oscar at this point. That would be extremely, extremely unusual, and we probably have bigger problems going on in this planet Earth if we were at that this early in the season. So here's a look at our hurricane storm names here. It borrows from the 2018 list. Every 6 years we re-up the hurricane list. Some are retired though. Hurricane Florence and Michael in 2018 are retired by the World Meteorological Organization, never to be used again. Sandy's never used again. Irene's never used again. We had it in 2011. Gloria's not used again. Just to give you an example here. We're likely going to run out of names. Remember I said the hurricane forecast 25 in the latest update from Colorado State named storms. There's only 21 names on this list. So what happens after that? Well, we end up having a supplemental list of hurricane names. Now they're in the English language, or they might be Spanish names, but English or Spanish. What we used to do up until 2020 was we were using Greek, really the Greek alphabet. So you go to alpha, I don't know my Greek alphabet that well, but alpha, omega, zeta, if anyone wants to keep going. We were using those names. 2020 kind of broke the system. Not just because we ran out of this list of names, and not just because we went into the Greek alphabet, but because these storms that were in the Greek alphabet in 2020 were so strong that they really could have been retired by the World Meteorological Organization, but that never happened before. And to be honest, the World Meteorological Organization never expected to have to retire a Greek alphabet storm because they would typically happen so late in the season that they would be fairly weak. That wasn't the case. We had massive storms that came through the Caribbean in 2020. They didn't know what to do with this. Should we retire it? Should we not retire it? Plus, on a side note, the Greek alphabet was a little confusing to Spanish-speaking languages. Something with the translation just made it confusing. Plus, the hysteria of, oh my gosh, we're on the Greek alphabet now. Just a combination of things made it so that they said, done with the Greek alphabet, we're just going to have a new list that we'll just kind of keep in reserve, and we can retire those names if we need to, and we'll put in new names if we have to as well. Some closing hurricanes thoughts. Now, this isn't going to be the case this year, but I do always like to say this. It only takes one storm for it to be active near you. A great example of this was the 1992 hurricane season. There was only 4 hurricanes and a couple of tropical storms that year, but one of them was Hurricane Andrew, which rewrote the history books in South Florida, changed a lot of the building codes in Florida. These are some photos from 1992, absolutely flattened parts of South Florida. But it was a quiet season, if you go by the book, because it was well below average. Again, I don't think that's going to be the case this year, but it just shows that it only takes one storm for it to be active near you. If Sandy was the only storm that hit in 2012, we would remember it forever, even though other people might not. This is a satellite image of Sandy a little bit before landfall. Also, when it comes to hurricanes, and unfortunately devastation comes from it, most of it comes from the water, not from the wind. Most of our fatalities, unfortunately, are from the storm surge that comes from these storms. Think about, I mean, I don't have to tell you, look at Long Beach Island. We're kind of like a floating buoy out here. We got water on all sides of us, right? Even though we do a pretty good job at mitigating that coastal flooding, when you got a hurricane coming your way, it's a whole different story. So another thing on top of that is a number of fatalities and destruction we see actually comes after the storm. The power might be out for a week. You might not be able to get the access to the medication you need. You might trip on a wire or something. You might get electrocuted by a live wire that's on the ground. So it's not always so much in the storm where I think 99% of us are bunkered down somewhere, but what happens afterwards during that cleanup and the recovery process matters just as much as what's happening during the storm as well. We are kind of seeing it in Houston right now with Beryl, where Beryl passed, right? But the power's out for hundreds of thousands of people in Texas. It's hot, it's the summer. That can pose problems as well. And then on a maybe slightly lighter note, we evacuate the shore every Sunday, right? We're all going home. So, and what I mean by that is we are pretty prepared to evacuate for a storm in New Jersey. We are doing this constantly, week after week, year after year, decade after decade. There's actually a study that was done in Cape May County all the way down south a number of years ago, I think about 5 or 6 years ago, that's actually compared, and I have this graphic, I have it hidden because we're in LBI, but I can pull it back up, but that compared the traffic flow for Sandy and the previous week beforehand, and it was about the same. So the Parkway could handle it. Irene, the year before that in 2011, they showed what it looked like on a Sunday compared to the evacuation day, and it was about the same. We do this. We're pretty good at this. So I think we're okay on the evacuation standpoint as long as we all pay attention to it. So more than happy to take any questions that you have. If you'd like to hit on your QR code on the left, you can see my work, stay in touch there. I have all my social media channels. If you want my email, it's there as well. I have a survey on the right. If you'd like to take a survey as well, you're more than welcome to. But it's always great being here at the field station. Like you said, it's our 3rd year in a row. I'm more than happy to come back next year as well. I haven't been in LBI probably, I don't know, it might have been since last time I was.
Oh, really? That's
No, you know what? Actually, I ate at Hotel LBI in the fall. So that was my last time I was here. But I didn't go far. I kind of just popped in and out. I haven't been down here since last year. So it's good to be here. It's always nice to be here in Long Beach Island. And thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. Thank you.